It's safe to say that most of us, if not all of us, do not like to feel or be rejected. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the fear of rejection. We're going to go through what it is, the psychology behind it, and how it impacts us and the way we move through life. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Vanessa Milagros, and I am a licensed mental health professional. I make weekly videos about different mental health topics. So if you have any requests, make sure to comment them below. The fear of rejection is defined as an irrational and persistent fear of social exclusion. And it can actually be linked to some of the different anxiety disorders such as social phobia, social anxiety. And if you want to learn more about the different types of anxieties, I actually have a video right here or here. I never know where to put them. And to be honest, as much as many of us want to think that, oh, I don't care about being rejected, I'm cool with it. For a lot of us, it still hurts. It still stings to feel as though you are being excluded from something, whether you want to be a part of it or not. Sometimes it does hurt a little bit more. And we tend to dread feeling or believing or being in a place of rejection. So, for instance, if we even feel like we may get rejected, some of us may revert to just going the opposite way so that we don't even have to experience the rejection. Others of us tend to cling closer if there is a sense of rejection on the way. And that clinging closer could be some of that anxiety, but also it's the fear of, I don't want to be rejected, so I'm going to be in this even more. And I think it's safe to say that we learn a lot about rejection growing up. Different experiences that we have as young children or young adults, such as being cut from a team that we really wanted to be a part of, going through breakups, maybe not being invited to an event that then you later see all over social media and people that you know are there. That can be a form of rejection for sure. Being rejected from job applications, friendship breakups, or even feeling out of place within your family unit. That can be a form of rejection. And as we're getting older, as we learn to deal with different things and different life situations, a lot of us learn that you just have to get over it and you just have to move on. Life goes on, right? I'm sure you've heard one of those phrases before. However, this doesn't mean that there won't be any lasting effects of being rejected. And some of us actually have a higher sensitivity to rejection. And to be honest, whether you feel as though your level of tolerance for rejection is pretty low and you can pretty much take any rejection because you've experienced it enough to build that muscle up, or whether you're on the opposite side of that where you're like, nope, don't even want to think about that, see that, be near that, I am out the door. No one can tell you how to feel when you do experience rejection. They can tell you how to try to deal with it and overcome it, but the pain and the emotions are still there. And so it's important to first acknowledge what you're experiencing and what the emotions are. It doesn't make you weak. It doesn't make you small. It actually brings more awareness to you and more strength to be able to say, you know what, that actually did hurt my feelings and I feel bad, or I feel sad, or you know what, that actually did hurt my feelings and I feel embarrassed, or now I feel awkward when I'm around these people. It's okay to acknowledge that, because if you don't acknowledge it, then there's no way we can address it. Just saying, oh, I don't care, doesn't actually make that accurate, because a lot of us can say, no, I don't care, it doesn't matter. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me, right? But that's not true, because words do hurt. We don't really remember what people did, but we definitely remember how they made us feel. These are all famous quotes for a reason, because a lot of us can resonate with this. So it's important to first acknowledge it. So let's talk about the psychology behind the fear of rejection, starting with our desire for connection. If we're looking at human history, we notice a pattern, which is that individuals who are a part of a collective group are able to have access to different resources that they may not have if they're in an individualistic setting, or if they're not a part of a group. And usually that would happen if they were rejected from the group. Then they would lack the resources that they needed in order to survive. So it wasn't just, oh yeah, I can go without. No, it was resources that were important for their survival that they were able to achieve in a collectivist system within that unit. That's part of the reason why, as humans, we seek that social acceptance from others and view the rejection of that as threats to our safety. And that stems from our past, even if it was centuries ago. Don't believe me? Listen to the study that came out that showed that the same parts of our brain that lit up for pain lit up during being rejected, during feeling rejection. That shows that our brains still react strongly to the fear of rejection, just as it does to physical pain. And that's really based on the emotional aspect of rejection. So that's why I was saying earlier, we have to address what you're actually going through, what you're feeling, what the emotions are that are being brought up for you in order to work on it. Now, if we look at our desire for acceptance, we have to start with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And this just shows the needs that we have as humans for healthy development. And with that, love and belonging are also on there, being socially accepted. Now, if we don't want to go back to human history, let's go to just your family unit. As children growing up, we learn and understand acceptance or rejection from our caregivers. And secure, loving relationships in childhood make us feel worthy of acceptance later in life. And if we're being honest, we do feel somewhat better when other people accept us, whether that's your family, your friends, your coworkers, your colleagues. And we know this because the brain's reward systems through neurotransmitters like dopamine, that's activated when we experience social acceptance and approval. The most interesting part of this is how we adapt our behaviors to actually fit in within the social norms. So if growing up within your family unit, it was socially acceptable to do certain things or behave in certain ways, that's how we then formed and shaped our reactions, our behaviors to things. Now, let's say you get out into the real world, which eventually we all do. When you get out there and you say, oh, wait, this worked within my family unit, but it's not working here, then we almost have to rewire our behavior and our how we process things in order to fit in and then receive social acceptance within society. So we have to learn to adapt, or if not, the rejection may come. And if we're talking about the psychology behind rejection and the fear of it, we have to look at the cultural impacts. And that's because different cultures emphasize acceptance in different ways. There are some cultures that really value being a part of a group, that sense of togetherness. Other cultures value the individualistic side of things. You do your achievements on your own. There's a level of independence, and that seems to be valued more for that specific group. And our cultures definitely impact that. So I'm curious, what culture did you grow up around? Did you grow up around the individualistic, independent side of things? Or was your culture more based within the group? Comment down below. Now let's switch gears and talk about the personal impacts of rejection. Let's start with relationships. Within relationships, the fear of rejection can be so strong yet so silent because we never speak about it or actually talk about how we really feel, that we can either go one of two ways. And usually it is either acting like you don't care, so by not showing interest or sharing feelings with your significant other, or it could be more of jealousy coming up, resentment, insecurity, neediness. They can show up in several different ways. But underneath that is the fear of rejection. I am scared of being rejected by you if you, for instance, see the real me, or if I am vulnerable with you in any way. So I'm going to act like I'm good, I don't care. Or I'm going to be overly needy with you. But both of those things are based on fear. Let's move on to the fear of rejection in social settings. And many people actually struggle with this, the fear of social anxiety and being rejected within those social settings. So someone with this fear of rejection may not even attend any outings or events because that anxiety and that fear for them is really real. So when it comes close to that time, they're not even wanting to go there. Some of the fears may include fear of not knowing what to say, not knowing how to act, what to do, what others think of them. All of these things could be circling their mind over and over and over again to the point where they don't even want to go, because the anxiety and the thoughts have been so impactful. And again, it's rooted on self-preservation. I don't want to be hurt. I don't want to have these negative feelings come up. So I'm not even going to put myself in those situations. The problem with this becomes that as humans, we need connection with other humans. Yes, there's a time to be alone, but when it goes from alone to isolation, that's different. And as scary as it can seem, It's always going to be scarier in your mind than when it actually happens most of the time. So you want to learn how to overcome this with different tools and techniques to help you actually be able to get yourself out of your thoughts and your mind and put yourself in those situations slowly to build up that muscle of, I can do this. It is okay. It actually wasn't that bad. I'm more than capable. This is what you start to develop when you do put yourself out there or in those scary situations. I don't even want to say out there because that can be scary in itself. You're not putting yourself out there, you're just taking one step forward. Whether that's showing up for a few minutes and then going, or whether that's working up to not allowing the anxious thoughts to be over consuming before the event happens. Also, working on where the fear of rejection is coming from for you specifically, and you can do this through therapy. Find what works for you to work on this because you don't want it to lead to isolation and complete avoidance of all social interactions and getting to know people or allowing people to get to know you. Now, if you're struggling with the fear of rejection, one thing that will be important for you to learn are the different attachment styles. So I have a full video on the different attachment styles and how they impact our lives. You can check it out right here. Self-care is also going to be really important here because if you have a great self-care routine, then you learn the importance of putting back into yourself just as much as you do for other people. Now, if you've stayed this far in the video, I want to give you a free gift. It is my 7-day self-care planner, and it's a guide for those who do not have time to put self-care into their routine. If you're looking for something like that, this is going to be really beneficial for you because you can actually start to put self-care into your routine without having to feel like it's a chore or it's something else that you have to check off on the list of things to do. So if you're interested in it, you can get it using the link down below, and it's completely free. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any other video requests, be sure to comment down below. And if you're not already subscribed, consider subscribing, liking, and sharing this video with someone who you believe will also find it helpful. I would also recommend watching this video next. It's on the different attachment styles and how they impact our relationships.